I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004. This is part 2 with Mike Rakebrandt, Senior Line Corpsman for Weapons Company. Well, let's we'll lighten it up a touch. What did you do to dock the dock? What did you do to blow off steam, dude? How did you deal with all this shit?
Make fun of Josh Fonzie. No, I had, we had great guys. I would go to BAS. I was to BAS a lot just because I had to be, you got like a foot in both worlds. So there was always like Chief Jardone was there, or Doc Cricket, or Doc Sun was there, somebody was there, Chief Carranco, and they'd want to touch base on whatever was needed, because it was still there was still this big push for maintenance of records and all these other things, and all these other issues going on, or if there were changes to the CAS evac system or what was going on. So I was there constantly. So when I was there, if you had something that was bothering you, if something was bothering me, I would speak to one of those guys and say, look, I had this, I did this, but I'm not sure that was the best decision. It could have been this or this or this. And whether it was Chief Jardone, Dave Carbunco, Doc Cricker, Doc Sun, any of the ones you spoke to, was always pretty much the same. You did the best you could in the moment you had with what you had. Don't overthink it. And it was always that was almost like a low drum beat in the background in BAS, and I think that helped a lot with a lot of these guys to kind of keep their heads in the game and keep themselves focused without having to feel like they were, I guess, constantly being criticized or under the gun in some way, because it was always, you guys did the best you could with what you had. Just keep doing what you're doing. So that helped a lot. And then, coming home was, I don't think you unpack a lot of it there, right? I don't think a lot of us did. I think a lot of us, we were just kind of mission focused. So we were just kind of doing what we had to do. And I remember I'm sure you guys remember too, when we came home, we landed, right? March, we get on the bus, we go to the armory, we drop off our stuff, we march up to the grinder. And then there's all the Gold Star families, right? I think for me, that was probably the most, definitely one of the more painful moments of the whole thing, but also one of the most sobering moments, because it made it real. Seeing them, we've seen the bodies, obviously, we saw what we saw, but seeing them somehow makes it more emotionally real, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Right.
Yeah. God bless them, God rest them all.
Mm-hmm. Did you, since you mentioned it, did you end up talking to any of the Gold Star families at all?
Yeah, Savage's family, Morrison a little bit, his family a little bit, actually all of them at one point or another, to some degree or another, I didn't have the, some of the guys, Adam Clayton had a more hard time with that in Echo Company. He lost, they lost a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So obviously Mendez of Sevies was the corpsman with that they lost, and his family would come to the BAS on almost a regular basis after we got back. So we'd see them on somewhat of a regular basis. And I did get the questions here and there. You get people questioned here and there, did they die well, or how did they die, or whatever. And the answer for me was always the same thing. They didn't feel a thing they were done. It was quick, regardless of what the reality is. I don't think I would have ever changed that answer, because when you can tell somebody, oh yeah, he lay there suffering,
Right.
But that was something I don't think I never thought about that prior to it happening. I never actually gave that any thought. It never even occurred to me that would be a question until it happened, and it caught me off guard, but so crazy. But yeah, they were, Savage's family, obviously amazing people, all of them truly amazing people. His mom was a phenomenal woman. Condi's dad is an amazing man. You had all of them, Marcy's dad, all of them were just truly great people,
Yeah. I almost don't know where to go from here, because I kind of want to go back to some of the missions, but you've kind of taken it to a different spot, which I actually find very fascinating as well. Because I just like Blake said, I never thought about what you were doing. I just said that you knew voodoo, and that you would bring anybody back to life if they
Do
died,
our
and
best.
that's what I believed. So
We do our
Well,
best.
and like I said too, like you guys did it so fucking well that it just never occurred to me that there was anything you keep complimenting us of the professionalism, but seriously, the what you instilled in our docs, again, me having Hinkle and Rudy and stuff like that, but
mhm.
Mr.
like
Hinkle is funny.
like you guys carried it so well. Like it was, like, well, there's air to breathe and there's Doc, like, of
Mhm.
course, like there's no, like, of course they're going to take care of it. And so that's a testament to the leadership that you provided to our line, or our docs, that, uh, just never occurred to me that you guys had more, had more to carry than just that, medic pack.
It's a lot, right? There's a lot to it. That's well, it's like you guys, everybody thinks like a Marine, they're like, oh, a Marine rifle shooting. And it's like, well, nope, there's actually quite a bit more to it than that. There's a whole lot of other dimensions to the whole thing. But unless you know, you don't know. So,
Right.
yeah, but you guys are phenomenal. But I was so lucky. I truly think I had the best corpsman in the battalion at the time. I really do. I think our guys were absolutely the best people that possible that could be there. I mean, Hughes, all of them, Dialco, all of them, they were just phenomenal, phenomenal guys. And the level of knowledge and just the ability to focus in, like lock in and get the work done, no matter what was going on. Amazing. Amazing.
Did you end up having, I mean, due to the way that, and this is something that I had kind of more of an epiphany after having these conversations, is that we were supposed to have two docs per platoon.
Right.
But due to our situation, we only had one doc. And then I think by that extension, you ended up rolling out with us a lot.
Yeah.
And so was that something that you were encouraged to do, or was it just like you knew that, hey, we really need two guys out there, so I'm going to jump on these trucks as often as possible?
Absolutely. I wanted to be out there with you guys, I wanted to be out there with you guys. If you guys are going out there, I wanted to be out there, both to help support my guys and also you guys. Like my whole goal was like, okay, bring everybody home alive. So I wanted to be out there as much as I humanly possibly could to make sure that we could bring you guys back no matter what, that there was always ever the extra set of hands, that it wasn't, that we always had somebody, you know what I mean? Like we always had as much as possible to throw at the problem. So yeah, I wanted to be out there as much as possible. I think I drove Captain Weller nuts a little bit with that, but yeah, I wanted to be out there as much as possible.
Well, I was going to say, because I that is one of my memories of you, is just kind of having this realization, is like, man, he's out here a lot, and I don't feel, kind of, and because I was told sometimes to be like, as a leader, hey, stop putting yourself out there so much, because we need to, we need you. That's why we have, that's why there's a rank system, buddy. And I know that I remember thinking that about you too, of like, man, our our company doc is out here a lot. I would imagine he's also probably being encouraged to stay back a little bit more often than being on the front lines going toe to toe.
Yeah, it was. I think there were definitely times where people some of the people in leadership kind of were like, maybe you can, slow down, step back a bit. But to me, it's like there's a whole lot of very, very smart people behind me that can definitely step into the role, because I'm not, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I thought it felt like, to me, it was like I was best placed, and you guys were the best place I could be. Like I felt like I told Chief Jordan one time, I'm like, the safest place in the world I can be is with these guys in the street. Like there's no place safer, you know. There's no place safer. You guys in the street, I never felt more safe than that in my life, and I still stand for that to this day. I never worried about any of it, ever. I never had to. You guys were so on top of it. It was like, it was kind of funny to watch. Like, you almost kind of felt bad for the other side, because they really had no idea what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, and just to get to watch the world's most epic ass whooping go down again and again was pretty impressive. It was funny too, but pretty impressive. you know.
Well, you kind of mentioned it. Did any missions stand out for you? Anything from, it doesn't really matter, beginning, middle, or end, but I'm curious your perspective, because you were out all the time. Like, I every major raid, every major mission, and obviously everything in April, you were out there for everything.
Yeah, April was wild, right? That was world's biggest slugfest, and they got the balls beat off them. So It was crazy. I remember hearing and I'm not sure how much it filtered down. I heard from somebody, I believe it was might have been Colonel Kennedy saying it at headquarters when I was standing there by the BS. He was talking. I thought it was him after this is after the fighting in April and everything. Talking about, I guess, I think it was General Franks or Joe Kelly, I'm not sure who, had said to him, "You sick bastards won the Alamo." You know what I mean? Because these guys held Ramadi. Like nobody expected us to hold it, and we held it. So, and I remember thinking that resonated so deep with me. I was like, "That is 100% true. These motherfuckers won the Alamo." You know what I mean? Like, because there was so many of them. But the two I think probably I remember the most clearly probably are Operation Bug Hunt. That was after April, right when they ambushed and we went out and mopped up what was left.
Yeah,
So I remember being on top of that house with it was a roof of a house with Kellogg, laying on the roof and seeing two dummies running across what looked like it was like tea patties or whatever out by the river.
Mhm.
Running across with their black pajamas on, with the black dashini on, whatever, with AKs, and going, "Oh shit, look at that!" And then lighting up, and then Sakaki just Kevin Sakaki, he took care of those two, so they got destroyed. They got what they came for. They got to go meet Allah. They got what they came for. But yeah, that one stood out pretty clearly. Just how like funny it was. And then Operation House Party, just because I think we took down one of the most high value people we had on the playing cards at that time. You guys did it expertly. Like this guy had legitimately like some of the best so-called security forces in the world, and you guys took them out like it was a turkey shoot. They didn't even stand a chance. It was boom, boom, done, gone. So
Which,
fast, so good, so clean.
which one was House Party? I don't know
That
that
was
I.
the one by Lake Habaniya. They had a high value target. It was what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name anymore. He was like a Republican Guard general. He had, I think,
Oh,
ties to like the chemical
that,
warfare stuff.
yeah. That was. You're talking about the raid for the Farhan brothers, then? Yeah. Or
That
no?
might be the one. Yeah, that
Okay.
might be what it was. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I might be mixing them up. Yeah, it's been a while.
No, that's okay. That's 22 years later. I don't expect you to remember anybody's name. I just didn't remember the name House Party.
It was called like, if I'm not mistaken, it was Operation House Party. Like they were.
Until you said it, that is what we called it. So
Yeah.
I
I'm trying to
forgot.
remember. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
some of the names. Those are two I remember most clearly. But just every day going out with you guys was always like it was just so impressive to watch. Even just patrolling. Right? Remember in the beginning we did the ID patrols and everything.
Oh yeah.
A little harrowing. Let's walk down this road until something blows up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do have one Rakebrandt story, and we'll see what it sounds like from your perspective. Then, the one I remember is Operation Traveler, which was later in the deployment. It was early in August, and we were supposed to be going after Zarqawi, but instead we found his meager security forces. I believe it was his aunt's house, but I could be wrong. It might have been his grandmother or something like that. And his driver was there, and somebody shot his driver through the thigh. But
Yep.
he was the one with the most amount of information. So the goal was to keep him alive at all
Yep.
costs. And the ODA team that came with us either didn't bring their medic or their medic wasn't interested in treating him, but you were the one that was tasked with keeping him alive.
Yep.
And
Yeah. And,
by
yeah.
my memory, he died twice, but I'll let you take over there. So
He was jacked up pretty good. They hit him. He had entry wounds and I think two entry wounds in like the top of his left eye, and then like three or four more right through like the pelvis, like the base of the pelvis, and right at the pelvic floor, right in that area there.
Mhm.
And he was 100% bleeding internally. Like that guy was losing a lot of blood really quickly. But I mean, well, you would know, right? The pelvis can hold a lot of blood before you even know it's there.
Yeah.
So he was definitely bleeding internally. He was not doing great. And it was crazy because like they hit me and said, "Oh, this guy's hit. Whatever, we need him alive." So I jump out of the truck. I go to head in the house, or whatever, and the ODA guys are like almost like upset that I'm going in to treat this guy, and I'm like, "You guys don't want the information? Like, you want him alive with the information? I can care less, bro. Why are you mad at me? Like, I'm just here to do my job." So go in, try and get him stabilized. He wasn't bleeding much at all externally, which is like, and he was so distended. His gut was so distended. I'm like, this guy's gonna die quick. Like, we got to go now. So just try to drop an IV. I got the IV in him. We gave him. He was being a pain in the ass. He was screaming and yelling and shit. So I think I gave him 10 milligrams of morphine just to shut him up and make him calm down. But he did. He kept going out in the back of the truck. He'd stop breathing and stuff. So it was like trying to kind of get him to go back to breathing again. He stopped breathing on the ground when I first got to him. I got him back. We got him back breathing again. Then he did stop breathing again in the back of the truck, and then he came back, but he was completely a mess, man. I was surprised he lived, but I'm trying to remember her name, the army doctor that was the CAS unit over there on Camp Ramadi. She was her name, nurse and doctor. They were phenomenal.
Oh, any other day I could tell you. You're talking about the blonde,
Yes, yes.
female army captain.
Charlie
Yes.
Mad, yeah.
Yeah, she they got a hold, and I loved her. She was amazing. Their medics there were complete a-holes,
Yeah.
but she was amazing. The medics were always talking shit to us, like to the corpsmen. They would always talk shit. You know, I remember bringing guys in, whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, this IV's no good." I'm like, "Okay, when you're getting freaking lit up and you're doing it and you're under fire, come back and talk to me. While you're sitting here eating McDonald's and fucking in PT gear all day, you don't get to say anything." You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have a lot of. I really, truly now think back to it. I think it was probably more of an insecurity thing for them because they weren't going out, because they weren't going out and experiencing. They were just receiving.
Sure.
But at the time, it was like frustrating. It's like, bro, I'm dirty. I got somebody else's blood on me. I want to get the hell out of here. Just take this guy and let's go. You know. But that guy was jacked. That guy was jacked up. I mean, they hit him good. They got him really good. They got, like, I think 3 good solid shots, at least maybe 4 in his pelvis. I remember clearly he had 2 in his left thigh, and that left thigh was 100% broken. That femur was definitely broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember you tourniqueting the thigh. The thing with him is he was going like upstairs or across the stairs, and basically they shot him.
The roof. Yeah.
They shot him from below. That's why he basically caught everything in the crotch. Like.
Yeah, he got it in the junk. Yeah,
yeah.
Right there in the yeah. No, they got him good. They got him good. I remember he had I don't remember if it was. I think it was through his scrotum. One of the shots. It was like it looked like a a gunshot, it looked like a cigarette burn almost. You know.
Yeah.
So and he had it was through the scrotum or whatever. But I can clearly remember thinking, like, it doesn't matter. You know, like, that's superficial. The round's inside. That's what I'm worried about. You know, it was. I can't get in his belly right here to open him up to stop bleeds and shit. I'm gonna get him the hell out of here because he needs fluid. So yeah, just pumping him full of, like, just bolusing bag after bag of fluid in him and trying to keep him breathing until we got back to them. Like, here's Humpty, he's fucked up, fix him.
Yeah. Well, you skipped the one part that was my favorite part. Was the second time he stopped breathing, he also shit all over you.
I forgot about that. Yes, that's right.
And you were like, "Motherfucker!"
I might have blacked that part out now. There it is.
You gave him a little good precordial chest thump, and he started breathing again. And we were like, "Oh my god, Rakebrandt brought him back from the dead again." I don't know if you remember, but that guy lived. He lived after all that shit. He went and they got him surgery. And they did whatever, got information from him. He lived. They amputated his leg.
Yep.
And but then he escaped. He somehow escaped from prison, from the holding facility with one leg.
Good for him.
That's what we said. Like, I don't know how you got out with one leg hopping down the road, but
he hopped his way over the fence. You know, like
yeah.
You know, it's like that whole system was corrupt, right? Like, the Army had their bases to hold these guys or whatever.
Yep.
Who was the guy we took? I remember doing a raid with a guy, and we brought him to Camp Ramadi, but they drove him around on Camp Ramadi for like ever in the back of a truck, and they were playing the helicopter sounds. Remember that, to try and
yes, I do remember that. I don't remember who the guy was, but yeah,
I'm trying to remember who the target was. Yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember the target. But that was hysterical. I mean, that cracked me up. I'm like, this poor bastard has no idea what his reality is right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were so, like, backwards. Like, even after April, when we had the battle in April, we captured all those guys. We had all those guys locked down, bring them in, and like a month later, they're right back out. And you're seeing the same guys in the marketplace. It was like, what the fuck? Why are these guys here? You know?
Yep.
Crazy. The whole thing was a mess.
Well, I looked real quick. That Army captain's name was Captain Schroeder. I forgot her name.
Yes.
Jody Schroeder.
Feel bad. Yeah, feel bad. I don't remember her name. She was phenomenal. She was really phenomenal. She was truly, truly gifted. She was really phenomenal. So many people that came through that never should have survived any of it, and they came out really amazingly well.
Yeah.
She was awesome. Her people were, I think, just I guess, I mean, I look back now, I'm like, all right, it's probably a little bit of ego, mixed with a little bit of insecurity, but yeah, it was a little frustrating at the time to be like, bro, I don't care about that. Like, I'm just here to get this guy fixed. Can you kiss my ass and just get on with it? You know?
Well, it's probably another one of those things where also you're talking to people who they expect to be working in a hospital environment, right? Versus literal dirt field medicine, right?
Yeah, like,
This is you get what you get.
you get ghetto medicine, right? Yeah, it's something we do what we can do. You know, we're gonna do the best we can to get this guy patched up into you. Basically, that's the whole idea, so you can fix him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember coming in there before with people, and they were like, "Oh, what are the vital signs?" I'm like, "Alive." You know, what do you want me to tell you, man? That's your job. Get to it. You know what I mean? You know, crazy.
I mean, actually, that's a interesting point that I didn't think of either. I know we had like blood pressure cuffs and those kind of
Oh
things,
yeah, we had all of it. Yeah,
but they didn't get busted out very often. It was largely done like the old school way. Like
yeah,
they have a strong femoral pulse. They have a strong carotid pulse. Like they're good.
yep, yep. That was it. Just
They're breathing. They're good. Like it was not like all these numbers driven thing. No, that's a really
yeah.
good
Unless
point.
you're doing like something more clinical, like we had that flu that blew through for a little while. That was super high fevers and all that. Then it was like more okay. We're gonna check fluid levels. We're gonna do the usual kind of traditional stuff, guys. And then but the out in the field, it's like, all right, are we really gonna take the time to actually worry about this guy's blood pressure? No. Stop the bleed. Make sure he's breathing. Get him somewhere where they can fix Humpty. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, actually, that's a good point. So, what were some of the non-combat things you were treating? Because I do remember that flu, just because I remember Randall having high fever and all kinds of crazy shit.
He
So
was talking in German, yeah.
Yeah,
He got
yeah,
really
yeah.
high fever. He was listening. He was talking in German. I got sick. We were actually out, and I got like I had like a fever hit, and I think I ended up hitting like 105 or something like that at one point. I'm like, okay, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
That flu was nasty. The Kurds, we saw probably the most weird stuff. We had at least two of those guys that we were pretty sure was Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. We were like, you know, where'd that come from? Like, it shouldn't be in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, but that popped up because I remember thinking like this is definitely some kind of like in that vein. This is like, you know, it wasn't Ebola, but it was similar. It was very, very similar presentation. So that was an odd one. That was interesting. And I think Doc Sun is the one who actually figured out what it really was. But so you saw some weird stuff like that. I'm sure remember the staff sergeant's name that had the heart attack, the Polynesian guy. He was an H&S guy, but he had a heart attack
Oh,
while we were on Hurricane Point.
Staff Sergeant Moana
That's it, yes.
or Gunny Moana.
Man, I was Gunny
Anyways,
Moana
yeah.
at that time. I fucking
was
forgot about that
Sergeant Gunny.
completely. He was me and Blake. He was our School of
Company.
Infantry company instructor. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he had a tie to him. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
a heart attack, like a full-on, full-out, like no shit heart attack while we're there, you know, so trying to stabilize a heart attack in there. And then you'd have like the usual stuff. I mean, like guys just, you know, falling down, spraining ankles or whatever. I don't know how many times of just simple things like cold or allergies or like it's just so much stuff that you went through with stuff like that, you know,
Sure.
just all the usual typical stuff. But
Well, in
there
the
was
course of
tons
these
and tons of that.
conversations, I think we've had. I think is it 2 cases at least of Ball's palsy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had 2. Yeah.
Yeah, Kellogg and Kellogg. We were still in Kuwait, and then I'm trying to remember who it was. No, we were in country. There was
Venecia.
somebody else. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
So, you know, it was and then everybody getting obviously, you know, the food like the diarrhea was like almost universal. You know, so and making like a cocktail that I think Doc Cricket wanted to kill me for. He's like, "What in the hell is that?" I'm like, "It's voodoo and it works. Just shut up, leave it alone." You know, 'cause it would stop it like dead short in its tracks. Like otherwise, you guys would be pissing out your ass for fucking weeks. But this was like it was like Doxy and Imodium and like I forget what else we had. It was like it was so ghetto. It was such very like complete voodoo medicine, but
That's
it
all right.
fucking worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
So and it stopped it dead in its tracks, so you guys could actually function. I'm like, look, I'm not. You know, we'll deal with the craziness later. I'm like, you know, but right now I need these guys to be in the fight. So
I just
Yeah,
remember
but-
coming to you a couple times getting hurt, or you know,
Yeah.
there's a couple of times I got winged, and I would just come back and ask you to throw a
Yeah.
like stitch this quick, Doc. I don't want to deal with this, And
Do you remember the Purple Heart curse? Everybody was worried about the Purple Heart. And
Uh-huh.
A couple of guys got the Purple Heart right out the gate, and then they got killed, and it was like, oh shit, there's a curse on it. So nobody wanted to
no,
report
I would
anything.
I would straight up hide my my injuries even from Hinkle, and then I'd come to you quick and just be like, quick, just
So many guys, bro.
just take care of it quick.
I took so many guys, like so many guys came like they didn't want it. Like even some more senior people, like some pretty senior people who were like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to ward, but let's get this out of my leg.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many guys.
Yep.
So many guys.
Yeah, you took a big one out of my back of my arm.
Yeah.
I still have a little piece of it ever since. I don't know how it floats around, but
Yep. It's crazy, right? It's wild to think like it just sits in there and doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of hangs out, you know. It's like a
hurts like a
souvenir.
motherfucker. Sometimes it floats forward and I put my elbow down and it like
You
hurts.
compress that nerve. Yeah, that would be like an instantaneous, like a hot button. Like, hey, look, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Yeah. Just in case you forgot, here I am.
So actually, one of my bigger memories of you is a non-combat one. And I'm curious if you remember this. Do you remember when you had me be your assistant during a surgery?
I think so. Yes. I'm trying to remember what.
It was they had a cyst like
Yes.
right where their flak jacket rested on it was like right under, it was like right next to their spine.
Yep.
And it was you tried to drain it a couple times and it was one of those, it had a sack to it basically.
Yeah, it was still intact. Yeah.
And you said to him, and I was standing there, and you said, you have two options. Well, three options, but like ignore it and it's, we'll keep draining it and it's going to be a problem. But we can send you back to Baghdad because we can't do it here. And he's like, how long will I be gone for that? And he's like, I don't know. I mean, you'll come back, but
yeah,
we don't know how long you'll be gone. And you're like, I also think I could probably take it out, but I don't have a lot of like stuff. And this individual was like, okay. And we proceeded to go to one of the empty one of the empty huts. There was nobody in there. And you were like, all right, sit down on you had him sit down, put his head, arms straight out like in a Superman. He laid on the concrete and put his head down. I kneeled underneath his armpits and then held his head while you like sat on his back and
ripped it out.
I don't know. And
basically you ripped it out. It was such good medicine.
You cut it, pulled it out, packed it real quick, and then as you're doing, you're like, all right, Mustard, this is what you need to do. You need to repack this every, do this in the morning and the night, and and anyways.
The foam gauze, repack it. Yeah, the foam gauze, yeah.
Yeah.
We did a lot. Palinels. We had a couple of guys at Palinels just were there, right? The ones that are on the top of the ass crack one. We had a couple of
Oh, really?
A couple of big ones when we were there, and I was like, it's gonna really hurt. Sorry, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it'll feel better when we're done, but it's gonna hurt like hell right now. Yeah, there was a lot of that. A lot of like just the typical stuff you would see normally, and like, but now it's you're in the middle of here, so guys with cellulitis. I'm trying to think. Cellulitis was a big one. Cysts were pretty big too, probably because of the dirt in the environment and everything, right? But there was a lot of it, a lot of stuff like that. I remember Savage, not too long before he got killed, unfortunately, but he was playing with lighter fluid in the back behind you guys' hooch or whatever, and like making the fire dance with his hands, and ended up burning the shit out of his hands. And out there with Rudy in the middle of the night, putting Silvadine on his hands, and like, bro, you can't fuck around like this,
That is the most savage story too. I love it.
Bro, he had like the worst. I felt so bad. He had such bad blisters all over his hands, but he still didn't want to like say anything to anybody, so he just sucked it up and he manned the gun. I'm like, that has got to fucking hurt. But he was great. He was good about it.
Uh-huh.
Crazy.
Do you remember when I cooked the inside of my arm? I was welding, and then you were checking that, and you were like, "How the fuck did you do this?"
like it didn't make any sense. The angle of it. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys did. That was crazy. I forgot about that. Right, welding the armor on ourselves for the Humvees. You guys welded it on yourselves.
Yeah.
We ended up with quite a few people with welding injuries because of that. Lit themselves on fire, or just the slag burnt off and burnt something.
Who was it that somebody burned their eyes with it? Like not like burn, like flash burned or whatever. Like it was not bad. It was definitely not bad, but it was like it was concerning.
Probably was me.
I get what you guys was.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I would just line it up as best I could and then shut my eyes real quick, but I would peek.
Yep.
That is like we had the most, I guess, what do you want to say, diverse experience with medicine. Like you literally got the full gamut,
Yeah.
All we would have had to have was when you guys had to give birth, and we'd have pretty much hitting all the bells. It's fucking wild.
Well, some of those guys, after eating those MREs for multiple days, it was probably pretty close.
I remember the porta potties after April, because remember the porta potty guys were insurgents, Mujahideen,
Yeah.
and they were filled up. And I still, clear as day, remember guys challenging themselves like the Brown Cobra game, right? You guys would try and pile it on. It was above the seat. So I'm trying. I'm not gonna. I know who it was. I saw, but the door open, squatting over this pile of poop that's above the seat, trying to put one more piece on and not knock it over like a Jenga or something. I'm like, oh my god. Bro, I almost pissed myself laughing. That shit was crazy. It was funny.
Oh man,
I
that's
forgot about
hilarious.
that. That was an amazing place, and it was crazy, but it was funny. It was funny. What a great bunch of people. Guys are crazy.
So did you end up staying in the company office?
When we got back,
Is that the
or
hooch? No, when you were over there, where did you stay?
I would either be in like the headquarters hooch if I was there, or like sometimes in the company office, sometimes the BAS. It was kind of a mix. Depending on what was going on, if what was planned or whatever, I would be wherever. But I split time definitely between our side and like the BAS side, just because of all the admin and everything else that was involved.
I see.
And then just trying to help out the BAS, like when they had a lot of headquarters guys were getting I don't know what it was with those guys, but for a while there was like IEDs were going off like every day. But those guys kept coming back, and they'd have like the like sandblast injuries.
Yeah.
It was almost like nightly, where it was almost expected nightly you're going to be sitting in the BAS picking like rocks and sand out of somebody's face coming up from the blast or whatever. And it was like it was crazy. It was crazy. But so I spent a lot of time between the two. But most of the time I would try and like make myself kind of available to platoons, obviously go out, or just be available like in where the headquarters little hooch was, whatever, to be there. So if somebody needed me, they knew where to find me. It would be easier for you guys to find me more quickly, so I wasn't like hidden away somewhere. And then the command hooch, it was, I was in there a lot with doing whatever we had doing there. And then, but there was it was always so busy in there. You tried to stay the hell out of the way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it was definitely interesting. It was definitely an interesting experience, right? It was wild, man. It was a wild place, but you guys truly were amazing. You were amazing.
Do you kind of remember what it was like during the wind down portion? Like kind of getting ready to go home and then getting
Yep.
where we
The
kind of
2 weeks.
stayed. We stayed at Camp Junction City at the time, but it ended up being Camp Ramadi. So Camp Ramadi on the
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I spent a lot of that time talking to they had the advanced party for the next battalion, like they had their corpsmen, their guys coming through. I spent a lot of time talking to them about what we saw, what we did, what we experienced. A lot of time going over after actions and things like that. We compiled for the BAS. We compiled, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of after action reports from the corpsmen,
Mm-hmm.
what they saw, what they experienced, what they did, things like that. So a lot of admin like that, and then a lot of like training stuff. So training, like the Army had a bunch of new people coming in, talking to them about what they're going to see out there, what they're going to see coming in. As a closed head injury was a big one for us. We kept stressing that, like, you guys, like, oh, we got lots of mannitol. Like, you don't have enough mannitol. Like, trust me. You know what I mean? Like, get more. You're gonna need it. Because there was so many of those. But so a lot of it was just kind of relaying that information, and then just the boredom, right? I remember Rick Mikak. He was the H&S guy. He was at Combat Outpost, I think, the whole time. But those guys, him and a bunch of other guys, playing Magic the Gathering. Killing time. It was like it was surreal. Right? It was kind of weird. Remember getting mortared, right? The mortars and rockets on the airwave when we were leaving.
Yeah.
To the very last bitter fucking day.
Your last parting gift on the way out.
Yep.
Now, I'm curious with your handoff with the 2-5 corpsmen, how was that received? What did they seem receptive? Were they listening? Were they interested? What?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, they were. They knew. Like it seemed like they already knew. I guess they. I mean, they probably were hearing. I mean, they're probably hearing rumor mill versions of it, but they were hearing about what was going on when they were already back, and we're out there. So when they got there, they were extremely receptive to it. My biggest concern for us, like for Weapons Company, was where we were positioned on Hurricane Point. I'm like, one of these days they're going to drop, like, because we had the hooches get hit, the outside walls get hit with rockets and mortars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest concern was one landing right through that bullshit little roof they had on those things. I'm like, it's going to be a massive mass casualty if that happens. I'm like, you really got to be prepared for that or whatever. And no shit, I told the guys that from 2-5 coming in. and I think it was maybe a month after we left, or a month and a half after we left. It had 2 mortars land inside the 81 Hooch, right through the
Oh, no
roof.
shit.
Killed a couple of guys and wounded a whole lot of people.
I didn't hear that. That fucking horrible.
That was after we left. It was like maybe a month or so, a month and a half after we left, something like that.
I can't say I'm surprised.
No.
We talked about a million different solutions to that, and never all of them got shot down.
Yep.
Putting a chain link fence just above it, so that way it would strike the chain link fence and detonate. So at least you got
detonate above. Yeah.
You got shrapnel instead of detonation in the hooch. I mean, there was a lot of sandbag in the roofs, and they were like, "Well, the roofs will collapse because they're cheap shit."
Yep.
we thought of everything, and it all got shot down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and we talked about this fairly recently, that unfortunately the 2-5 guys kind of didn't, they didn't get the luxury of growing with their insurgents, because the insurgents didn't know anything, but they got a grisly, angry, well-trained insurgent right off the bat, instead of kind of what we got, where we got kind of the amateurs in the beginning.
Oh yeah, it was like amateur hour, definitely, and they really had no idea what they were doing, and then we kind of schooled them a bit, and they learned. They did adapt. They did learn. And they did get much better with their accuracy with those rockets and those mortars, right? It seemed like every day it was getting a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit more.
Yep.
So I wasn't surprised when I heard that they took a hit directly, and I'm like, all right, that's not surprising to me. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But the corpsmen and the medical were very receptive. Like, we were able to relay a lot of information to them very quickly, which helped a lot because they structured themselves, I think, kind of to face that way. So they probably had a better outcome for
That's
it.
good.
But they were smart. They listened.
It's good. Some of the lessons got passed down.
You try, right?
I remember some people, not many, but a few, outwardly having issues early. Like, by the time we got to like Kuwait, people were already starting to have some issues just coming off the battlefield. Do you remember, did anything strike you? Anything you can remember?
A lot of survivor's guilt.
Okay.
A lot of that. So 80% was survivor's guilt. There's definitely, that was a predominant one was survivor's guilt. And then you had, like, it was surprising to me, but we had guys who were like, they were almost like showing like severe clinical, like, depressive type symptoms, but it was because they didn't want to leave. They were like, I guess because they felt so alive, like you feel so alive in the fight in the city or whatever. Now you're stepping down, and like that, it was almost like that withdrawal from the adrenaline and all that other stuff. Like it was interesting to kind of watch that play out. So it was interesting to see that. That was definitely unexpected. But the vast majority was a lot of survivor's guilt, and then just a lot of anxiety and fear about, what to expect at home. A lot of guys, I think the conversation I had a lot with guys was basically, how do I rectify who I am here with what I had to do here with who I really am at home? Like, I feel like I'm two different people. I'm like, no, you're the same person. You just that person that had to do things in an extreme environment under extreme circumstances that normally you're not going to do. But here you had to. It is what it is. You can't look at it as anything other than you did what you had to do. You did your job. That's what you're here to do. You did what you had to do, and you moved on. That's it. Like, you don't have to justify it in your head. You don't have to rectify it in any real sense of the word. You just have to acknowledge it and move from it. So there was definitely a lot of issues, and a lot of guys were a lot of anxiety. A lot of guys are going home to wives that cheated, or there was a lot of that stuff going on. A lot of the background stuff going on. So
sure.
And there was a tremendous amount there, but a lot of survivor's guilt, especially amongst like the leadership. That seemed like they're really prevalent amongst their leadership. Like, I think they felt like there's always that thought, like, I could have done this, or I should have done that, or why you would choose this road rather than that road, or so. But yeah, there was a lot of that going on, though. It's crazy, right? I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to bring up painful memories, but
not at all.
You kind of, again, you got to be a trusted confidant in a different way. I had people come to me for different things, but they definitely didn't come for that kind of thing. And you would have talked to the senior leadership. So that's also an interesting component of it. At least from our experience that we've talked about previously on this podcast with other people and with ourselves, we don't remember much of like a medical follow-up. And I'm curious your perspective of that, because you might have actually been in those conversations. To our estimate of it was that people weren't ready for what was coming home, that many people were going to have that many issues.
Oh, yeah. And without that, no. I mean, that was around the time, remember when we were coming back, it was around the time the Army had that unit come back and, what was it, Fort Bragg or something like that. It was like 26 homicides in a weekend when it
Right.
came back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, I remember it hit the news everywhere. And we were coming back around that same time, but they were absolutely not prepared. I mean, the whole medical coming home thing, even before we left, it was all these screenings and these shots and everything else. And us coming back was basically having you guys fill out like a questionnaire, like, did you ever see a dead guy? Did you kill a guy? Like stupid things like that. And okay, they asked some of the right questions and they at least made a half-hearted attempt, but then nobody ever followed up on it. Like there was no follow-up. There was no like, let's check in with guys and see how they're doing and see what's going on. If it was done, it was much more informal, like me or Rudy or somebody else doing it, and just trying to make sure guys were okay. There was no real follow-up to any of that. I think they were trying to push Wellbutrin back then. It's like, oh, we'll just give them Wellbutrin, they'll be fine. I'm like, cause a psychotic break, or we could do that too.
Yeah. I don't remember Wellbutrin being offered. I remember Benadryl being offered. Like, oh, we can help you sleep. You can just take some Benadryl.
Benadryl, yeah.
All right. I don't know if that'll help, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually ever gave anybody Wellbutrin. It was told, that was like one of the things I got, like one of the meetings we were in. It was saying like, oh, we're gonna have Wellbutrin available for them to take to level them out, but there was no real thought put into like what to do with people when they got them back, like when they came home. None, like no real effort put into, I think, actually thinking about what that would look like or what that might look like in 10 years or even 20 years out,
Well, yeah, there certainly wasn't a 20-year plan.
Yeah.
Well, both Blake and I started working on getting out because we both got out in December. Where did you end up after everything? And how was your coming home? How was your process coming home?
You had a new kid too.
Yeah.
It was good. It was yeah, that was my first one. He was like I think about be a month old. I saw it when we got home, and so I was very much like from that mode into like, oh look, I got this little baby. I loved it. I leaned into that. I love being a dad. That was it's the best thing ever. So I just leaned into. I spent all my time with him if I could. I spent as much time as possible. When we got back, I stayed with 2-4 in the next deployment we did on 31st Me1. Right, we went back out.
Yeah.
After that, I think, and then after that deployment, I rolled over to the regiment because I knew I was getting out at that point. So I went to regimental aid station, and I was just training guys there and doing sick call and training guys at the regiment to get ready to go to the battalions, and did that until I got out and actually joined the MIPD. And so that was my transition. It was March 2007. I got out.
All right. I did not know that you had stayed around 5th Marines that long, but that's.
Yeah, I was there the rest of the time. I didn't want to go anywhere else.
That's good, man. You're a hell of an asset, so that's good. They were lucky to have you. I mean, you've already said it about 1,000 times, but we've kind of been wrapping this up the same way. When you look back on it, what does it mean to you personally? What do you tell people?
It was a truly humbling experience, but I got to walk amongst giants. But my biggest takeaway from it, like lesson I would probably offer other people, is to just focus on the mission, right? Just focus on the task at hand. Don't let the external, push you more than it absolutely has to. Just focus on the task at hand, because that's what you guys did. You guys are consummate professionals. You just focused on what was necessary right in front of you. Okay, here's a problem I have to solve right now. I'm solving that problem. And you kept moving that way. And if you look at it realistically, our casualty count should have been much higher, right? And with the casualties we did have, with the wounded, we should have been combat ineffective. But instead, we whooped an entire city's ass. You know what I mean? Like multiple times. So, I mean, It's just absolute proof that if you just stick to the plan and just kind of keep your feet moving and keep yourself moving in that right direction, it's going to end up being all right in the end. So that would be my biggest takeaway from that, people, is, train as much as you possibly can. No scenario is extreme. If you can imagine it, it could probably happen. So you might want to keep an idea in the back of your head about what to do for that, because we had some weird stuff. And you guys are so amazing. I was so humbled and still honored to be able to have spent that time with you guys. I really was. To me, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I think it definitely shaped me to be much, much more prepared for the things I want to do after that. Being a cop, being a detective, that shaped me greatly to be able to do those things. So, I mean, I just appreciate all you guys. I miss all you guys, as ugly as you all are.
We miss you too.
Good times.
If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.